But I'm back now, and I brought you guys some treats from Africa, chocolate from Ghana. Fun fact, Ghana at a point in time was the leading producer of cocoa. So we have some very good chocolate. There's some other treats as well, so fine.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I have some happy dollars. I just had my 58th anniversary.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Good job, Charlie.
That's dedication.
Anybody else, guys? Anybody other happy dollars?
You guys got married at 8 years old.
That's
That's why I wasn't doing it. Thank you, Jim.
Past President Dan?
So I have happy dollars, 20 happy dollars, because past President Bill Cassell is back, and without the, the gestures, I wouldn't remember the words. So I've got 20 happy dollars for that, and I have $5 fine for past President Veronica.
I wonder why.
I'm not getting here on time, but I'll bill it.
Well, she could find a badge.
Yes.
So you're paying her fine, is that what you're saying?
No, I think I don't find it. I do have a job to do, FYI, and that's why I was.
Right, yeah, you're the only one.
Yeah.
And just kidding. So, just moving on to announcements. So we have our senior barbecues. So for you, those of you guys who don't know or are new, we have 3 barbecues at the local senior villages in Lexington, and we provide the Jim Wheeling from Brookhaven provides the burgers and hot dogs, and we go and cook them for everybody. We do it every year. So this year it's September 19th through 21st. The invitations for sign-up will come out in August. So just be looking forward to that. We have one other thank you note from our scholarship. So another thing that we do here at the Rotary Club is every year we provide a $1,000, and now a $2,000 scholarship for local kids that are going to college. So this is just a thank you note from somebody, from Jack Apple. Dear Rotary Club of Lexington Scholarship Committee, thank you very much for awarding me the Rotary Club Scholarship. I really appreciate this generosity as it will help reduce my expenses at Northeastern. It's a great honor to receive this scholarship and to feel recognized and appreciated by the Rotary Club of Lexington. I was so disappointed to miss the lunch due to an unexpected sickness, but I appreciate the recognition. So it's always nice when they write us a note. And now I think everybody's gotten a blue ticket, so that's for our weekly raffle. Yeah? And this week they're from Bickling Financial, Murphy Group Lexington, Arlex, the Rotary Club, and Lexington Public Schools.
President May, can I make a quick announcement?
Yeah.
Lexington, as you know, we donated a drone to Lexington Fire Department.
Yeah.
Last week they had a major incident in town where they were able to utilize the drone. In Recreation Center, they had an ammonia leak there, which they classified as a Class 1 response, meaning that mutual aid from the surrounding communities came, covered the Lexington station because all Lexington apparatus were tied up, and there's a regional hazardous response team. It came from the firefighter academy trucks and equipment that mitigated the situation there. I believe Hayden is still closed at this time. I drove by and there was contractors there in a crane. They had to actually go up on the roof, look inside. That's where the drone was utilized to see any leaks. It has infrared capabilities with that. And firefighters are on top of the roof itself. So it was both our ambulances in town were tied up with that also too, because as you know, it can go bad very, very quickly. So we're very fortunate that we have Chief Derek Sensabai. He's very progressive. His training for his firefighters, and they really work. I was actually working in another part of town, I was monitoring that on the radio at the time, so it was quite intense, but him and his command staff did a very, very good job.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, first ticket is 002.
Last 3 years.
No, I didn't know of that. I do this.
It's her. She won.
All right, if you win, come on up and get a little.
I know I didn't win.
If Gardy says you won, you won.
There you go.
All right. And now we've got 047.
0.
Oh, excuse me.
That's me?
Yeah, you would.
I can't read.
Come on down. There you go.
Alrighty. Next, take it up, 046.
I could write that.
You want to give it to one of your buddies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good share.
Very good. Thank you. All right. This is 053. Got it?
That's amazing.
You're not the most exciting one. 006.
You done?
Nobody here.
Give it to one of the kids.
Who hasn't won yet? No, he's not a kid.
Now you want something?
Good job. Thank you.
That's the last one.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yep. 073.
It's like that.
All right, and so we're good. Yeah? So now is the time for our speaker presentations. So if, we'll do the Friends Forever group first. If somebody wants to get up and start and do the intro, and we'll move on from there. Thank you. Yeah, right up there.
So, hi, my name is Una. I have been part of Friends Forever for about 6 years now. And just for anyone who doesn't know, or anyone who needs a little refresher, because I know I forget it all the time. Friends Forever started in 1986. It was founded by a Rotarian named Bob Raish. He saw what was happening in Northern Ireland with the conflict there. Some people know as the Troubles, and he took a group of 5 Catholic boys and 5 Protestant boys and brought them over here to be able to learn and have a shared experience and get to know one another. Friends Forever very much is still not pro-conflict, but we have moved on from solely being focused on conflict resolution to now being more about youth empowerment and youth leadership and helping young people become the best versions of themselves, so that they can help their communities become the best versions of itself. And all of these young people are from all across the island of Ireland, both north and south. They'll all meet here, and Casper can tell you a little more about what they'll be
Hi,
doing.
I'm Casper. I did this program 1 year ago, and about a year ago I sat where these people are sitting now, and I'm one of my leader for their team, which is called Solace. And we brought all of these 9 individuals from the island of Ireland, and they originally had a 2-day weekend to get to know each other in our campus in Analog, which is in the north of Ireland. And today we have 2 speakers who would love to share 2 very passionate speeches about things that they really care about. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, without further ado, I would like to introduce my friend Cousin.
Maybe on pages.
When Cousin gathers his pages, there's a big component of their program while they're here in the US. There's a big focus on public speaking. Everyone at some stage will give a speech, and it's totally personal to them. At the beginning part of that, we call it finding your why. Why are they here? Why do they want to make a difference in their community? It's something totally personal to them, so this is really, from the heart, and it's it's a new experience in public speaking, so you're good to go.
Thank you.
No pressure, no pressure.
I'm Cosm Tug, and I'm a loser. I'm Cosm Tug, I'm 17, and I'm a loser. I'm Cosm Tug, I'm from Portadown, Northern Ireland, I'm 17, and I'm a loser. You're the audience. You're all losers. But you know that overwhelming euphoria of desire, hope and optimism that is suddenly snatched from you as it burrows itself in a rabbit hole of embarrassment, fear, nervousness, insecurity and doubt. Everyone loses. Everyone has felt they needed to succeed in something that seems so tangible, just to see it ripped into a million pieces. No one likes losing, but losing taught me more than winning ever will. My fear of losing, combined with my high degree of competitiveness, formed a deadly concoction in my childhood. If I wasn't good or the best at something, it was useless to me. As a small child, I quit football, I quit rugby, I even quit an after-school Spanish class because I wasn't the best at it. A desire and a need to be a serial winner in everything may seem like a blessing, but it was undoubtedly a curse, as I was so fixated with winning and the glory associated with it. This sink-or-swim mentality caused me to have a pessimistic attitude, in which I thought that if I don't try, I can't fail. A fear of failure and losses is incredibly common among males in a modern-day society. Societal expectations place a heavy burden upon men as they attempt to navigate through their lives from attaining success in every aspect, ranging from love to wealth. Societal expectations of success shatter humanity and breed competitiveness. A loss for a man is a devastating loss to their ego. Many men deal with losses by sugarcoating their failures, claiming that they don't matter, or claiming that they are capable of achieving success, but they just didn't put the effort in. This is all done in vain, as men try to preserve their fragile egos of being perfectly hyper-successful. Many men and boys, such as myself previously, much rather adopt a nihilistic approach to life, in contrast with an optimistic one, as it creates vulnerability to the possibility of failure. When I was 13, my favourite teacher heavily encouraged me to rejoin rugby. Initially, I was anxious, nervous, and scared because I was worried what my teammates would think of me. I wasn't going to be a good player. Quite frankly, I was going to be crap at rugby. I didn't think the team needed me either. I only said yes to my teacher out of respect for him. Then I went home that day and I remember being really upset and worrying, what am I going to do tomorrow at rugby training? Because I was petrified. It was so daunting to me because I knew I'd be useless at it. I've lost my place, sorry, give me a second. Okay, yes. I just failed again. Oh yes, through my coach's mentoring and his leadership, he completely reinvented my attitude and personality. Every week at rugby I was getting tackled, flattened, bounced, all three at once sometimes. I was failing continuously. I was terrible at rugby. But because of the respect I had for his leadership and his mentorship which guided me, I continued. I would be the first person at training. I would be the first person to set up the equipment at training. I would never miss training unless I had to, due to sickness. I would be at school 1 hour early on Wednesday mornings for the gym, and on the bus, if sometimes I wasn't selected for the team, at 6 or 7 a.m. on Saturday mornings I would still go with the team to matches. I quickly realised that I would never be the best player on the team, or even be on the team sometimes, but I didn't mind. I was learning each time I failed. As my confidence grew, I played more minutes, and even started for the first team as we went on a cup run all the way to the final. The cup final that my team and I had sacrificed and worked so much to achieve was cruelly taken away from us as it was cancelled due to COVID.
Oh.
Even though I was disappointed because my team and I didn't win anything, I felt so fulfilled and content. I didn't win, but I had no regrets. Since then, I've lost and failed 1,000 times, and I'll lose and fail 1,000,000 more. Losing taught me leadership through resilience. I can learn from every loss in my life. In the words of Kanye West, for me giving up's way harder than trying. No matter how hard the challenge, whether it's a 2-week FFI course or cooking a new recipe, I'm prepared to lose, and I'll never stop losing until I learn enough to win. Losership, leading through losing, has defined me and transformed my life, and it will continue to do so forever. I'm Cosm Tug, I'm 17, I'm from Northern Ireland, and I'm a big loser.
next, if I could keep your attention, we have Kristen, who's going to share his speech.
Well, you're all bear with me here because I didn't actually finish all this, so half of it's going to be on a whim. Okay, so my name's Tristan, as you pointed out. I'm 17 and I'm here today to talk about courage. So, courage. Courage, I believe, to be the lifeblood of humanity's greatest weapon and most powerfulest, the indomitable human spirit. This allows us to succeed and persevere in all aspects of life. And it is the courage that formulates the determination to be victorious. May it be in school, may it be in your job, your military service, or most importantly, finding oneself. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. For those of you who don't recognize this quote, it's from Winston Churchill, the United Kingdom Prime Minister during the Second World War. This quote summarizes how challenging life will be. However, with courage, it allows us to face these challenges head on, with or without fear of failure. Much like the brave and courageous soldiers who fought the unyielding regime of the Nazi blitzkrieg. I doubt without the sacrifices to these courageous men and women would volunteer their lives that they didn't even know if they were coming back from to save our world. I doubt we would be living in where we are today. So this, without a doubt, proves what the power of courage can do. All it takes is time, and most importantly you. Just craft your own courage, and when you prevail in conquering a challenge that you felt was almost impossible, know that it was you that made it happen. I would like everyone to take a moment to listen to this in particular. Wisdom cannot be granted, it must be earned, sometimes at a cost. This quote was from my own personal fictional hero, a character named Optimus Prime from Transformers. The reason for this is because he is a leader that I strive daily to be. He is selfless, he is brave, he's encouraging, he is thoughtful, he is wise and inspiring, and above all, he is courageous. From a character who originally started as a simple data clerk in a library to become the fearless leader that has inspired me to do better far now. And this personally relates to me because for the majority of my life I didn't really take an interest in anything apart from just sitting in the house and like playing Xbox and stuff. And I didn't really do much outside of it until COVID happened actually. COVID gave me a time to reflect, and because I was indoors, I don't know what it was, but I didn't want to be kept indoors anymore. So I started walks and health eating and stuff, and then I don't know what hit me, but I just said, yeah, I want to be a part of my community instead of just staying in the house, you know? So the quote from before explains that without mistakes, we can't learn and grow strength, become better versions of ourselves. As well as through experience that life can throw at people unexpectedly. Like for example, recently in the month of June, my great granny Jean, amazing woman, by the way, loved her to death. She had a stroke because of morphine. She was on fort. For any of you who's familiar with morphine, it thins out your blood. She needed that because she fractured her hip before. She was in the hospital for months and months on end, and then she got back. She was the best of weeks, and then she got hit in the hospital, and eventually, yes, she passed. It was horrible. It was a tough time for me, for the rest of the family. But there's one thing my granny taught me. My granny taught me how to be kind, how to be hospitable to people, how to treat everyone with respect, how to give. My granny was an amazing woman. She was always welcome. Like she, as one of my friends explained to me, she was a beacon for our family. Her house was always welcome to everyone, and typically because she got to the age where she couldn't really look after herself. So my granny Eve, the roof, and others in the family, they would usually be in, including myself, up the school. And I didn't see her a lot. My granda Alan passed before. I never seen him later, and that was one of my biggest regrets in life. And when I started in first year in high school, because the bus dropped us off in front of our house because she lived on the terminus. I always visited, and every time I went in, she was like, "Oh, all right, son, how are you?" And do you want something to eat or whatever? She would always ask, like, do you want something to eat? Even if you had something to eat, and Alice, she was like, "Oh, do you want some more? Like everything else is for you." And obviously it's like, no, Granny, I'm grown, thank you. And then she would always get a change from if she had it. And my granny and a lot of ladies in my family are very stubborn, so I couldn't refuse it. There was always something she used to say whenever I was faced with difficult situations, or if just small challenges came, and that was these things are set to try us. And the more I think about it, yeah, a lot of life challenges is, and relating back to courage, courage is the ability to try. And when she passed, I want to live on with her memory and try to be who she was alongside like my own heroes. I suffer a lot. I've suffered a lot with anxiety, so it is tough to do things I wouldn't normally do. I usually have a lot of doubt, especially when you meet new people. Even though I'm gonna be brutal. I'm anxious as hell up here. Like honestly, I can feel my legs shake, but.
You're doing great. You're doing great. You're doing great.
But I've had a lot of help throughout the years between the family and everyone. So, point being that because I've fought through anxiety, and there was a lot of mistakes I've made because of it. I became physical to some people. I heard a fellow that for literally no reason other than the fact that he looked at me because I was having a bad day. And since then, I regretted it a lot, and because I realized I was a danger to others. So, courage is taking small steps along. I would just like to say, everyone in here, especially from Friends Forever Internationals, will come to something. And that takes a lot of courage to do. And courage, I believe, to be the necessity for my own community, because we are still stuck in just divide, violence, and sectarianism. No one's really united. It's all separate. There's even there's literally peace walls. They keep the events from stopping during the trouble years from 1969 to 1988. But after that, what does it leave us with? It leaves us with divide. So I want people in my own community to start realizing that all they need is courage to make change, and that change needs to be made, so all of us can be unified. So just 7 steps really, and all it takes is step 1, and that of courage.
thank you so much. You guys are just always so impressive and so courageous. Every one of you taking part in this program, I know this is going to just be such a launching point and just change your lives dramatically. I'm just so happy for you and proud of you. I'm glad that we could be here to meet you. Marty's going to introduce our next guest.
Oh, thank you, President Reagan. So today we have Gardy J. Relu. Good. J. Relu. Gardy is one of our members, and I want our visitors to know, from forever, that we do what we call classification talks. Each Rotarian has an opportunity to introduce himself or herself and tell us what they're all about, what made them be to what they are to the present day. And so, but for the my fellow Rotarians, we're going to have these every 2 weeks. We're going to have one of our new members speaking. So today it's going to be Gardy. And next week, 2 weeks from now, it's going to be Gabrielle. He's consented to speak, so thank you, Gabrielle. Gabrielle Adai. Did I say it correctly? Monsieur Adai. Gardy, you're all set.
Hello.
Hello.
One more round of applause for these gentlemen.
Well, it's pretty magical because if you remember when you were 17, were you doing this? It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. So thank you, man. Appreciate that, man. Very close to my last name. Very close. You know, Murray talked about let me know, hey, you should talk about yourself and something like that. I'm a product of my community. I'm a direct influence in my community as well. So just talking about myself is a little bit difficult, right? I think the biggest thing to understand is that every little thing that you do is how you do the big things as well. And so when I talk about my company, when I talk about the people around me, you'll know a lot about me as well. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Craft Food Halls is love, energy, food. Now, with love, energy, food, it's easy to explain what food is. We understand that. It's easy to explain energy. Everybody has a hard time explaining love now. And in the dating scene, in the things that you do, you ask each other, what does love mean to you? It's a difficult question. We actually know in my company, I've established that we have a definition. And then once a team member comes in, they either have to accept the definition or they can work somewhere else. Right? So I want to read you a little bit about what the definition is to me, what the definition is to the people in my company, and what the definition is. Definition is, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It isn't proud. It doesn't dishonor others. It's not self-seeking. It's also not easily angered. Because if you understand that, then you'll treat each other with those values. I'm going to repeat it one more time. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It's not proud, and it doesn't dishonor others. And so if you're able to operate in my space, or in your communities that way, then you're not going to have any issues. It's a lie. People are people. But if you revert back to that definition, then you remember to give people a chance. And how we implement it in our company with the attraction formula, right? So this gives you a little idea of how we break down what we do as an organization. But keep in mind that the foundation is still love, okay? So when we talk about what we do in the food aspect, you have the taste shifting, because we think about what you taste every day. And maybe you have to come in and try something new, and we have to be very mindful of something that's salty, something that's too sweet. We take the public opinion, and then we adjust to that as well. Love is in that foundation. When we talk about the dynamic dimensionality design strategy, that means my company, we also go in and we design the spaces. I actively design, my partners, we actively design the spaces, and then we go ahead and make sure that the space that you utilize has a purpose. And then we shift that purpose so it doesn't stay stagnant every day, then it's a waste of space. It's a waste of your money. There's love in that foundation. And then we talk about the energy intelligence, the mood shifting, right? Monday through Friday, if you have a Monday through Friday, if you work Monday through Sunday, however you set up your life, it's difficult to be the same on Monday than it is on Friday. It's difficult to be the same on Monday than it is on Sunday. And so we try to go ahead and create programs that help you shift your mood. There's love in that foundation. So you have to be considerate in anything you do. Whether you're up here talking about your grandma, right? That's a beautiful thing. She left a legacy of love for you. So CFH and the core shared values, everybody can understand, right? And so we have our community. The community is extraordinarily important to me personally, but you'll find that it's important to everybody in my company. What the community is you have to go outside, you have to drive, and you have to be conscious of the people that you're dealing with, and you have to be conscious of when people cut you off and you don't want to do road rage, right, and all that stuff. It's part of your community. There are good people and bad people, we understand that, but if you come from a position of love, then it's a lot easier. So we contribute a lot to the community, right? We spend a lot of time, we want to make sure that people feel welcome and feel celebrated, feel accepted and feel warm and all of that. You have a personal responsibility in that. There's a foundation of love in that. Obviously love is right in the middle of that. And then you have respect. It's really difficult to respect people if you already have preconceived notions of them. And so, you have to take half a step back, and then you take a look at yourself. Do you want people to respect you? Yes, right? Do you want people to respect you? Yes. And so to try to respect them, there's a foundation of love in them. Even though you don't know them, you don't know where they come from. And then the transparency. People lie. They lie a lot. A lot. Right? And if you're transparent about your positioning, people have hopes, dreams. They also have disastrous pasts. They have turmoil internally. And if you're transparent about that, if you're able, within your community, because right now we operate in a global community. We should not. Thanks for coming from Ireland. We should not. You should operate in your local communities. Yes, Jay. When you operate in your local communities, and you get to know each other, you should be more transparent with each other. You understand what you're going through. You understand how you're feeling. I can see you and touch you, hang out with you. But if I'm online, I use that as a real block. I can hide behind those curtains. I can be anyone I want to be at that point, instead of who I am. There's a foundation of love in that. It's extraordinarily important to be transparent and tell the truth. And I don't call it telling the truth, I call it being transparent, because people feel less offended with that. But it's important to be transparent. So, in the general introduction of the company, it's all about the attraction and that attraction formula that I talked about. It's all about the differentiated deliciousness, right? It's the food aspect of it. We're the first sous vide food hall in the nation. It just means that we cook in a particular way that most people don't really cook. And the cooking style is you put it in a vacuum sealed compartment, which is a bag, and then you put that underwater in a controlled temperature situation. When you do that, it's not contact cooking. Contact cooking is called myopic. You're actually burning the molecules, you're burning something to get the desired deadness or whatever it is. That process, you're also losing all the juices when you do that, right? So when you grill and the fire comes up because all the grease and everything's coming out, that doesn't happen in the sous vide technique. And it's pretty cool. There's a strong health benefit to that. There's a strong flavor benefit to that. I can spice things up a little bit. I love foundation of that. And then we are a category creator. It just basically means we do things a little bit differently, and people have to follow us instead of us following them. Okay? And so I wanted to kind of take a look at how we define particular things, and to help people understand how to follow a particular thing. You use acronyms, it helps them a lot. Because if you were to tell them, I believe in God, I love Jesus, this is the way that I run my foundation. And so it's really, really amazing to understand that if you say that, people will be like, all right. But if you give them an acronym to follow, then they're more acceptable. So life for me is living in flow environment, the synchronicity of operating system. Because if you live in a particular flow, and it's a positive flow, then everything you do, the little things that you do, is also the way that you do the big things. My name's Gardy and I love you.
Questions? Questions?
Oh, questions? You got questions? I'm here. Hello, Mr. Dan.
Gardy,
Yes, sir.
thank you. That was probably the best classification talk we've ever had. Except for Mark. We were in the hall, I was in with my daughter for the reunion, Megan's reunion, over in Lexington.
Yes, sir.
Last week.
Should I be back in front of the camera, sir? You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I can't get him. It's fine.
I
I can
noticed
get you, though.
lemons and limes in the sous vide behind the bar.
Yes, sir.
What is that for?
For this question. Because typically if you're trying to get water up to a particular temperature and you would leave the tank empty, it is boring, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But also it'll preserve, at a particular temperature, it'll preserve the fruit a lot longer because of the hydration. And so it helps that. But that's secondary. I don't really care about that. I care about these questions. Anything
Anybody
else?
else have any questions for Bob?
Have I got a question for you?
Yes, sir.
I just want to congratulate you. When I first met you, you talked about your management style, the style you did with your family as far as mentoring your children and everything. I was very, very impressed with that and how you work with your employees. If there's an issue, you mentor them and you make them better. And a lot of people don't realize Gardy's been a recipient of several state awards, regional awards for his businesses that he's been involved in, his mentorship with the community. So I just want to congratulate you with the things you're doing.
Gardy, I have
Gardy?
a question.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Go
ma'am.
ahead, Maria.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So my question is, what in your youth made you become what you are?
Oh man, that's crazy.
That's all right.
I appreciate
Some
that.
outstanding, just a couple, 2 or 3 outstanding things that made you think the way you do, and your philosophy.
Appreciate that. Okay, so foundationally, my family is pretty extraordinary. They invested, because as immigrants, everybody knows it's very, 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 very difficult. They came here not young enough to not be hurt. When you come around the 28, 27 year-old marks, you remember too much of home, and you realize how much people dislike you in a particular society. And that direct impact sheltered our family. And so because of that sheltering, you got a lot of the values right in your face, sometimes physically, right? And so I had a very difficult childhood because I wasn't exposed to the outside world. As I was growing, I reached 16 years old, and my mentor from the Cheesecake Factory, I ran into him. Long story short, I was in the mall, and I was running through the mall as youth do, and a younger lady, she was old, a younger lady had a bunch of bags and she was opening the door, and I opened the door for her. She stopped and she said, "Hey, I didn't expect that from you." And I said, "Why? Because I'm black." And she's like, "No." And I was like, "Yeah." And then she said, "Wait, I have a job for you." I was like, "I don't like cats, so, you know." She said, "Wait." And it was actually the vice president of the Cheesecake Factory was waiting in the car for his mom. And he came over, he gave me his card with gold filigree on it and said, "We're opening a location in Braintree. When the shell is built, come back and whatever job you want, you'll get." I was like, "That's a lie." So I walked in, really, when the shell was up, I had to beg my parents because they were not going to let me work. But I went and I walked in with this card. Obviously it was crinkled up because I'm a child. And I handed to one of the hiring managers, and he said, "You found this card somewhere." And I was like, he gave it to me. And so he called the number, Phil called the number, and it was pretty funny because he did it on speakerphone to ridicule me. And the vice president was like, yeah, whatever job he wants, go ahead and give him. So I was like, hey, never done this before, so where does one start? And that's how good relationships started. So being mentored through them in the restaurant industry, I went through the recession with them in 08, 07. They taught me all the financial backgrounds on how to keep the business going and open and things like that as a fundamental side of the world. They had a very strong impact of the way that you treat internal team members. They called them internal guests. The other side, the experiences for me, I was really horrible as a child because I didn't have a foundation. We didn't learn about God. We didn't know anything like that in the personal sense. So when I left Cheesecake Factory and started my software company in Germany, things got a little hairy because I was in very unknown waters. But when I started my company, I also started a church there, going to a church there, and that's where I gave my life to Jesus, and that's where the turning point was. I started understanding my actions. I started understanding, what happens when you talk with truth and with purpose and with passion. And serving Him, we've been able to weather COVID. We've been able to do quite a few things, meeting Mary, with that foundation. So thank you for that question, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Because I thought I knew you, but I've learned so much. I think that Murray's question answered mine. I wanted to know, where do you get all this positivity? How I always see you this happy, this positive, and blessing us left and right. So I think that partially the answer you already gave us. I don't know if you have anything else to add, but thank you for your presence. Thank you for what you shared.
I appreciate you. The last thing I'll add is you're right. Because I learned really quickly, no one should be able to steal your joy.
Yes, Joe.
You understand? And so when I'm around, and bad things happen to me all the time. Bad things happen all the time. She's a perfect witness of real serious, and I mean, when we have sexual assault within our company, you're asking where does that recipe go wrong, right? Because you're dealing with people. But these actions, these things happening in your life should never steal your joy. So depression is here, and everybody has the opportunity to hit that floor. Dipping underneath that floor is where the issues lie. And so don't dip under that floor. And so you have to figure out your balance and your system to be able to not dip underneath that line. And so I learned in 2011 to allow nothing to steal my joy. That's my children, that's anything. My balance is super important. And that's why you see me like this all the time. Does that make sense? I appreciate you guys very much. Thank you so much. Good job.
All right, thanks everybody so much. We're going to do our 50-50 raffle now, so anybody that has a pink ticket.
You guys. $25.
Okay, the winning ticket is 770.
I have it.
All right.
Sherman.
Okay, again, I just want to thank you guys for coming. This has been a fabulous meeting. You guys are, just full of inspiration and joy from Gardy and from all of you. So I hope we can take that with us and share it with everyone that we meet today. Our past president Lori made some vegan gift bags, snack packs for each one of you to take on your way. So make sure you grab one on the way out, and there'll be more vegan than a meal, I promise. And thanks again for coming.
Thank you.